Ada had found out about her in an old book in the library. Cogwheel footnote. Ethelberta Enormousfeet was an Anglo-Saxon fell-walking princess who caught a fatal chill while wading in the water meadow that once existed on the site of the Venetian terrace. Ada had read all about her in the Chronicles of the Vulnerable Bede, a tear-stained history of England. It was almost 6 o'clock, which was when the two Annes generally played ghostly Tudor cricket on the first-floor landing. But this evening there was no sign of them. Ada made her way down the long gallery and along the corridor to her room. Ada's bedroom was enormous, with an 8-poster bed on one side and a magnificent fireplace on the other. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a mess. Shoes, dresses, bonnets and hat boxes lay around on the Anatolian carpet, together with unfurled umbrellas, open parasols and decorative fans. Ada tidied up, folding the dresses and putting the bonnets back in the hat boxes, lining the shoes up neatly in pairs and propping the umbrellas and parasols against the wall. She then took a pile of clothes through to her dressing room next door, where she found her new lady's maid lying on the Dalmatian divan. Ada's previous lady's maid had been called Marylebone. She was a spectacled bear from Bolivia who had left Ghastly-Gorm Hall to get married. She now lived happily in a beautiful house in the Andes with her husband, General Simon Bartholomew, and their newborn cub, Lucy. Marylebone had been an excellent lady's maid, laying out Ada's clothes for her each day on the Dalmatian divan and keeping the bedroom and dressing room organised and tidy. The same could not be said of her replacement, but Ada didn't mind. Fancy Day Ambridge lived in the little hamlet of Gormless and sang in the Gormless choir. Although she was forgetful and rather untidy, she was kind and cheerful, and Ada had liked her from the moment they'd met. Fancy Day was also musical and creative, and wore spectacles that reminded Ada of Marylebone. Each morning, Fancy Day would drive up to the hall in her donkey and trap and spend the day looking through Ada's clothes and reading novels before driving home again. "Why, Miss Ada!" Fancy Day exclaimed. "Is it 6 o'clock already? I quite lost track of the time on account of this book I'm reading." She jumped up from the Dalmatian divan and raised the back of her hand to her forehead in a dramatical gesture. "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a talented singer in possession of a good voice must be in want of a musical production." Fancy Day recited from the first page of her book, before closing the book with a flourish and tossing it onto the Dalmatian divan. "It's all about Elizabeth Bonnet, a simple country girl with a song in her heart, who meets a dashing dancing master, Mr. Darcy Bustle." Fancy Day waltzed around the dressing room, using one of Ada's frocks as an imaginary partner. When she reached the door, she gave a little gasp and dropped the frock on the floor. "I almost forgot," she exclaimed. "Choir practice tonight. I'll see you tomorrow, Miss Ada." Fancy Day danced out of the dressing room, across the bedroom and out of the door, narrowly avoiding Ruby, the outer pantry maid, who was coming in. Ruby was holding a tray with Ada's supper on it. She looked wide-eyed and anxious. "If you don't mind, Ada," she said, "I'll put this down here by the fire and get back to the pantry before those ghostly ladies appear." "The two Tudor Annes?" said Ada. "I heard they died after an argument over cricket. One hit the other over the head with a bat and then slipped on a ball and fell down the stairs. I'm not sure which was which, but I'll try to find out." "If you do, you can tell us at the next meeting at the Attic Club," said Ruby hastily, putting the tray on the more than occasional table and hurrying from the room. A moment later, Ada heard a little scream and the sound of Ruby's footsteps clattering down the stairs as the two Tudor Annes called "How's that?" after her in ghostly voices. The Attic Club met once a week in secret in the attics of Ghastly-Gorm Hall to share observations and discoveries. Emily and William Cabbage had founded the club, and Ada and Ruby were members, along with Arthur Halford, the hobby horse groom, and Kingsley, the chimney caretaker. They wrote down their findings in The Chimney Pot.